topic, which is brought to you by, what is our next topic? It's Tony Germini, and we again back on data, how to deal with uncertainty in data and entrepreneurship. Before we start, to all of you out there, this lives from you getting engaged, you asking questions. So please sign up and just ask a couple of questions. You will see you will benefit and get more out of it. So now over to Tony. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Christoph. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, EO. I'm really pleased to be here at 333 with my dear fellow entrepreneurs. So I'm feeling happy. I'm doing a pretty cool job because my job is to predict the future. We try to predict the future with data, as you said. So we are using data. We are using advanced analytics. And I firmly believe that there is no limit in what can be anticipated and predicted thanks to advanced analytics. When I say advanced analytics, I mean machine learning and artificial intelligence, but more deep learning. As entrepreneurs, we are used to work and live with uncertainty. So maybe for us entrepreneurs, uncertainty is part of life and business, and we even need uncertainty. But in our business, it's better to plan, to anticipate, and to be sure that the bad thing is not going to happen, or when it's going to happen, that we are able to anticipate. So for sure, we are, all of us, already plenty of dashboard, KPI, or measuring ourselves against our objective with data, with financial data, with market data. But have you ever think about one day to link this data with trust and loyalty? And when I say trust and loyalty, and this is the way and the meaning of what I think about loyalty. When you think about loyalty and trust, you have to make a connection with a person, a human being. So it's the human being that trusts you, trusts your brand, trusts your product. And these human beings around us, entrepreneurs, they are employees or customers, of course. So employees, why do they come to us? Because we are brilliant entrepreneurs, we can say them the path, we give them the right information, the right tools, we help them to thrive, we help them to grow personally and to have better salary. But why might they leave? Okay, we know that we might them leave because maybe they not get recognized at the right value, or they don't anymore, or they don't believe on our vision. Or even more, something in their life is happening and they are much propensity to leave. By analyzing data, if you have a very large number of employees, we know that it's depends from the period of their life. It's most probable that they are going to change by analyzing some aspect. So this is called employee attrition. That can be done with data. If we think about customers, it's even worse. Usually customers, they don't pay us for uncertainty. They would like to have a trustful product, trustful solution. They want to have a really clear and understanding of what they will get for the money. So the customer, they come for this reason. So they might leave for also the right reasons. If they are feeling uncertain, so feeling is about emotion and feeling. If they are feeling uncertain, they might think to change. Thanks to data, you can anticipate this. You can trigger the action of emotion, the action of change before it happens, and just keep them, or maybe decide to not keep them. It's another concept. But anyway, at the same, we are using data to work with customer attrition or customer churn. So there are plenty of examples on this world about how to use data. We just spoke before about data, so we know it. For example, Uber, they are using data to build trust around their customer, or driver, and we ourselves as a user of this application. Because they give the right information to their driver. Please go there because at that place you will have a lot of customers. So they try to guide. So they provide trustful information to their users and build loyalty and trust around their brand. They are using data, and they are using data to anticipate the future for the driver and for the user. Another really interesting example about how to predict uncertainty, even planning with uncertainty, it's when we talk about DHL or FedEx, this international shipping company. They are able to give you the right hour or day of delivery if you send a parcel from Japan to US or US to Europe. So they are every day planning with uncertainty. So they are using plenty of data. And these triggers and patterns are changing all the time. But they are able to do it. Something similar, but we all experience this. It's about how to keep or to catch the attention of customer. We find the same in Netflix, Amazon, Spotify. So they care about us. They care about the customers. So they always suggest the right information to keep you attracted, to give you more envy to buy more. So it's also done by the same technology, using advanced analytics to predict uncertainty and build trust and loyalty to the brand. Okay, this is globally what happens in the world, but what happens in my experience, in our experience by Calypso. So we started years ago working with data and working with deep learning, and we had the opportunity to challenge Northern in France in summer 2019. So they asked us if we were able to help the crisis that was at that time there. That time was in summer 2019. Most of the half of the emergency ward staff in France, they were complaining. They were striking. Okay, that's normal. It's unusual in France, you strike. But they were striking for a very good reason that is still now actual. They were feeling exhausted because of lack of many hours, many problem with people coming. They were not able to treat patient at the right time. Patients, they were in the alley. And that was an issue at that time. An issue is still now. But at that time, we tried to solve this. So we started analyzing the data from not the customer, the patient, the customer of the hospital, the historical data of patient. We started to analyze the information about practitioners, doctors, so where they come from, where do they live, where the customer lives. We took also data from the environment of the hospital. That means where the hospital is located. What's the level of education of the people? What's time of the year? What's time of the week? We link this with cultural event and with weather. So among all this information, we were able, within a few weeks, to provide results. And these results they were also very surprising for us. We were more accurate than weather forecast. Yes, we were able to predict to the emergency wards train 5 days in advance, or even more, 7 days in advance, but we had to adapt because the weather forecast was not more accurate than after 5 days. So we are able to predict 5 days in advance the strain of patients coming to the emergency ward. So how many patients are going to come with an accuracy of 90%. So there is no emergency anymore. 9 out of 10 can be predicted. So here we were able to give to the hospital, the doctors, caregivers, the opportunity to anticipate the strain, to organize themselves, and let's say to be sure that tomorrow in the afternoon there need to be more staff because there are more patients coming. And for example, in the morning, after three days, in the morning there will be less. Wonderful. We were in production end of 2019, and in 2020, something happens. And yeah, it happens, and then didn't work anymore. But we had this period of the first wave to learn of this new pattern. It was just only one new pattern. It was the pandemic pattern. So we let our algorithm learn and work, and they introduced the new pattern and they were able to align the prediction. So again, in summer, we came back to the same accuracy. So even now, over the period, including this period of 3-4 months that we were very bad, we have 88% of accuracy prediction. What is good now is that we are able to plan emergency. So to see them not like an emergency and you have to run, but you have planned it and book slot for emergency, book slot for COVID. And among these patients coming, you can also book beds. So you know when they are going to come, among these, which patient is going to stay, how long is going to stay in hospital, and you can even plan and anticipate what is going to happen after, based on his age, location, if he's living alone. You can even anticipate in 3 weeks, this patient will need more support because he cannot go back at home, for example. So we have many, many ideas. The challenge here is not about data and technology. The challenge is about people and process, like shaking the old way of doing. So what can be taken for ourselves as a takeaway about my personal experience? I would say first, you need to think with data as a real asset. Real asset, that means you need to treat data as gold. It's not just few words. You need to treat data in the right way, with the right tool, with the right people. Right tool doesn't mean Excel, and neither your assistant. It's really doing pretty well. With data, you also need to think about data by design. Each time you decide something new strategic objective, to link data, but not only data linked to financial, but data linked to a behavior, an action, a human being, and the action around this. To this data that we are going to anticipate, generate trust and loyalty to our brand or to our service. I want you just to think about a few seconds. If you will be able to predict one thing, I call this the unique predictive number. If you will be able to predict one thing, you wish that it will be completely different from your competitors. This one thing, one number that we wish you will predict, that could change your business. Okay, maybe it's not easy to think about like this. You will need probably more data points. For example, for the hospital emergency ward, the first unique predictable number was the strain, the number of patients coming in a couple of days. But the other data point is which kind of patient, in which state is going to come, which among these patients, who is going to stay, who is going to leave, or among these patients, who is going to stay, and which kind of treatment, which kind of bed is going to need. So try to always link a number with a behavior and human being, and all the relationship between all of them build relationship. So at the end, you try to predict uncertainty, you will predict and build loyalty to your brand and to your business. And then it becomes like a game. Predicting the future is become a game and is part of your daily life. Good luck and thank you for your attention.
Tony, thank you very much. This is definitely mind-boggling, and I can't really wrap my head around it, what that means, because if you can implement this to emergency wards in France and have a 90% predictability of how many emergencies you will have, I think the world is your oyster, and it's literally, I think it's frightening and really exciting at the same time. We have a question from Fred, who is asking, in your experience with hospitals, what do you know now that you would have liked to know when you started?
Thank you for the question. Fred, maybe I know who you are. I should have started before to focus on doctors and nurses' information. At the end, they are the most relevant information. because at the end, the patient information, they can be handled better. But the doctors and the habits that represent the process of the hospital, that is much more complex to trigger and represent in data.
Mm-hmm. And how would you go about, because one thing is to analyze data, the other thing is obviously how to get data. How do you manage to get data that's actually concise and to start collecting data when you're like a medium-sized, small-sized business? Is it mainly through buying data, or it's just a shift in mindset and you just have to like, this is the data we want to collect and let's start now rather than looking back for the last 10 years?
Normally, everybody has data. So I mentioned the example of customers. So everybody has data about customers, maybe a CRM. So I will start from that, from the habits and the past action of your customer, and try to understand what is the trigger, and if you can predict the next best action from your customer, linked to the product. So that will be one starting point. Everybody has data in-house. Mm-hmm. And after only try to get data from outside. But I will not necessarily start with outside data.
Okay. And thinking back now on Olivier's presentation, when he was talking about T people, or people who are basically jack of all trades, masters of none, which I'm definitely in this category. You, I think, are more in the T section. You're very analytical, and it's impressive, the way you think and what you have achieved. How does this also creep into your personal life? Do you use data when you chose your now wife? I saw a ring on your hand. Or when you choose schools, or
no,
how far does this go?
That's why I try to make the connection between human being and emotion.
Yeah.
Because at the end, you always, let's say you touch somebody, a human. So at the end, it's this emotion, this action that the data, predict or not, is going to trigger.
Emotions and data. That sounds very interesting. Okay, well, I think we covered all the very geeky side of things. Let's go to an EO experience. What brought you to EO, and why do you love? What's the reason why? I don't know how many years you have been a member.
Almost 10 years, I should.
10 years.
This year will be my 10th year. So.
Okay, so it seems like you enjoy your ride. What would you say is the main takeout as an EO member?
As an EO member, EO it's a school of life. So it's not only school of business, it's more school of your personal understanding, and it is a school of life. So I will imagine what would have been my life without EO. And I'm not paid by EO. I really learn a lot.
Yeah, wonderful. Tony, thank you very much for your time. This was very interesting. I think I need a couple of more sessions with you to really understand what that means. So now we're gonna have